All right, how we doing, Patriot fans? Welcome to episode 5 of the PrimeTime Patriots podcast. As always, your host, Jake Mott. Alongside me is Ryan Matson. Looking into pretty disappointing week for the Patriots, to say the least.
Definitely.
Yeah. So the Patriots fell to the Saints at home, 28-13. And I just got to kick it off with this right away. The O-line continues to be a serious problem for the Patriots.
Yeah, definitely. That was what I took away from it, too. I mean, obviously, you had Mac. Didn't play well. We'll get into that. But going off the offensive line, it's the biggest disappointment by far this year.
Yep, Mac was hit 11 times in this game, which tops, I believe it was 9 week 1. So they're actually getting worse. They were missing Trent Brown this week, but one guy should never account for constant pressure and heat.
I agree.
The penalties were still there. They still got to clean those up. My second noticeable thing was Jonnu Smith looked like a... Oh, my God. I don't even know.
Thing. Yeah.
Really bad. 6 targets, 1 catch, 4 yards.
Yeah, and one of them, in and out of his hands, caused a pick.
Exactly, yeah. He scored more points for them than he did for us.
He did.
It was very, very bad to see.
Yeah, going back to the line, too. 2 sacks given up. And what'd you say, 11 hits?
11 hits.
Yeah, that cannot happen. If you're trying to win, and especially against the Saints, we know they're a good defense, obviously, but when you're trying to win, you can't have that with your offensive line giving up that many hits to your quarterback.
Absolutely. It was tough. We thought coming into this, the Saints secondary looked beat up. They had a lot of people in and out, and then game time comes around. There's C.J. Gardner-Johnson. There's Marcus Lattimore making plays. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, I swear, must have made, obviously I'm blowing it out of proportion, but 15 freaking tackles that I saw.
It was crazy.
In the half. And it's a guy that we weren't even planning on seeing, or at least seeing limited this week.
Mm-hmm.
And they came in full bore, and really, they look like that team that they were in week 1.
They really did.
And then special teams was another area where the Patriots are usually, and by usually, pretty much always on top of their opponent in terms of special teams. Jake Bailey had an awful day. He got the ball blocked, and then he kicked the kickoff out of bounds.
Yeah, that was a questionable.
Yeah.
Like, how do you... That's one, like, you can't do that. You're a professional in fucking the NFL. You can't do that.
Exactly. So you just got guys making very uncharacteristic plays. They let up a big return on the first punt as well.
Yep.
Got him some good field position. And now quickly, I'll touch on Mac before we hop over to defense. I thought Mac looked good again. I don't think he looked bad. The first pick was 50-50 with him in the line. It's not an excuse, though. You got to protect it. You can't just throw it up like he threw it up. But given how much he's been under distress and that this is the first truly bad decision I think he's made in terms of where to go with the ball, I'm willing to overlook it. It can't be forgiven per se because mistake is a mistake. You got to take care of the football. But I'm nervous that now, especially with James White being out, that we might see him start to force things a little more.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, I don't think everything offensively was on him this week. It was offensive line we talked about, but the picks, pretty concerning because a few of them were, a little questionable. The one to Jonnu, like we said, it's not really him, but the other thing I wanted to touch on was the rushing game. Mac Jones was our leading rusher.
I did not know that.
26 yards.
That's tough. Yeah, he had
14,
one good run. That's right.
14 by our leading running back. He had 14 yards.
It was very weird because that was... Obviously, we had predicted that it was going to be a pass-heavy game, but they started the game with like a 7-yard run from Harris, and then it was 5 straight passes right after. So it's like you had a little bit of something there, at least at the start of the game, to where you could have tried to establish a running game, but it looked like they had decided in the week that this was going to be a pass-heavy game, and even though they might have had some more opportunities on the ground, they'd committed to that air-out kind of offense for this week.
And even, like we talked about before we started this, Harris, he was in on 31% of the offensive snaps, while Brandon Bolden, which most likely would have been James White if he stayed in, Bolden was in on 46% of the offensive snaps. Probably getting the pass protection because they were getting blown up at the line, but I think that's a little concerning because you couldn't run the ball, and you put in, a Bolden who isn't
Just
really a
definition
runner,
of
isn't
average,
really
definition of baseline.
And so I thought that was
Default.
kind of concerning, but I mean, I don't know what you got to do with that. But I think Harris should have stayed in more, but
I think it's weird. I'm not sure why they're so opposed. Because obviously Harris works best as a pure runner, but I don't see why they're so opposed to using him like in shotgun and
I
stuff.
agree. Yeah.
It must be the pass protection, because I would argue he's not a hindrance catching the ball. He's a viable pass catcher. Yeah. I think he's just as good, if not better, than Bolden at the very least. So it has to be a protection thing, like you said. It's concerning. A guy, Damian Harris, plays very physical. He's a very physical player.
Definitely.
It's tough to see maybe that is what is holding him back, not getting those snaps.
Yeah, I really think if the Pats, especially with White out, going on IR most likely, they should pick up a running back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's plenty of free agents out there. They can make a trade for a lower end backup. You don't need anyone crazy, but you definitely need to pick someone up.
Yeah, maybe like a Sony Michel or something.
Yeah. Dude, looking back on that trade.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, hindsight's 20/20. All the bad things that could have happened to the Patriots running back room, which is now lack of carries this week, turnovers, things like that, they've all reared their heads. So it's easy to say now.
Yeah.
But this team could certainly use another beneficial, very
Absolutely.
solid running back, and Michel was that guy. It's tough. Tough to watch.
Seeing it.
Defense-wise, hop over to them. I said they continued to be good, but they're very situationally bad. It was the first drive of the game and the last drive of the game.
Yeah.
They drive right up and down the field, and they also weren't great on third down. I'll get to that in a sec, but it's concerning that they seem to be stepping up. Not that you don't need your defense at all points in the game, but whenever they're called on to make a big drive or a big stop,
That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, they fell apart every time.
They didn't look horrible, I didn't think, all game. I thought they played pretty well. But like you said, the big moments in the game, especially at the end, when you needed a stop, absolutely needed one, and you just give up, a touchdown to Taysom Hill. That drive just kept leading on. It kept bleeding the clock, and then they score, and then that put away the game.
Yeah, and third down, and specifically third and long, they had a 3rd and 7 at one point, 3rd and 10. So a lot of great opportunities to get off the field. And a lot of people talk around has been that Gilmore shouldn't be too much of a focus because there's other problems with this defense. I think if we're looking just at third down and 3rd and long, for sure, I think Gilmore absolutely helps you in those situations.
Yeah,
it's just one play you got to make. And I know for a fact one of those was to their ex-receiver when they picked up one of those long first downs. So that's something hopefully Gilmore can take care of. But again, we don't even know what Stephon Gilmore we're going to get when we do see him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be better than average for sure. But, yeah, like you said, we don't know exactly what he's going to be like. In terms of the secondary, I didn't think they played horrible. I thought they played – honestly, I thought they were the better part of the defense.
I'd agree.
Like, in the whole game. But the D-line needs to get to the quarterback is probably the biggest concern I have with the defense.
Yeah.
And the backers, they gotta stop the rush because we let Taysom Hill on that last drive just pound us right up the middle.
Yeah.
And and Kamara, we held him to 3.7 yards per rush, which wasn't horrible, but he gave up 89 yards on the ground to him. And then, I mean, the rush defense didn't look great, but it didn't look horrible either.
Yeah, I was happy, especially early on. There was a lot of talk about the Saints running off tackle, running some stretch kind of plays because it's so effective with Kamara, and we've been very bad at defending it. First few plays of the game, if you look, they try to run outside zone on us, and we shut it right down. And then where I thought the game was really going to turn was they already have their starting center out. Their starting left tackle goes down in the first quarter. And I'm like, here we go. We're going to get Judon off the edge, maybe some Van Noy. We're going to get some pressure on Jameis Winston, who is one of, if not the worst quarterback in the league.
In terms of decision-making.
Yeah, when you give him pressure and put stuff on his face. So it was very concerning to see that even when now the lines were evened out a little bit, both had their left tackles missing, and the Patriots really just weren't able to get that kind of pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, they gave up 142 rushing and 128 through the air, which is very good. But looking at the season that the Saints have had offensively, that's just what they're doing. They're not passing the ball more than 200 yards. They're not, they're a rushing team. Their defense, they rely heavily on them to force turnovers, and that's how they're winning. Marquez Callaway for the Saints was the leading receiver, 4 receptions for 41 yards.
Yeah, so it's not an awful performance from the Patriots, especially like you said, the secondary was a strong part. Only going to get stronger, presumably, with Stephon Gilmore eventually coming back.
Yeah.
But I basically said, to wrap things up here, with any other team, and this is, I've heard, I don't want to take credit for this, I've heard it around, but with any other team right now, you would look at this team and say it's badly coached. And it might be, I would never say, Bill's the best, absolute greatest of all time. Josh is a great OC. I even think Patricia, for his faults as a head coach, is a great defensive coordinator. I really do. But right now, this team just looks very sloppy on basically all 3 phases of the game.
I do agree. Yeah, actually, I do. McDaniels, I feel like, is not calling the right plays in the red zone because, again, our red zone efficiency is very well below average, and it doesn't look good.
Absolutely. We had the offsides on 4th down, too. 4th and 1 down in our own zone, and Hunter Henry just bolts off.
No, I do. Yeah.
Okay. I believe it was Hunter Henry.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's like, it was super concerning, especially with the play from Jonnu Smith, because, like, we have been talking, I was saying all last week, Josh needs to draw some stuff up. He's got these dynamic tight ends, and now your dynamic tight end just had 6 targets, one catch, and scored a touchdown for the other team. So it's like, does he really? They spent a lot of money, and I think everybody would agree that you overpaid. To what extent is to be determined. But they did, and not that I think it's wrong to overpay in situations. They went out and they got consistent, proven guys, we hope, that will make plays, and they might have paid a little more than they had to, but they got everybody here. Still think it was the right move. I don't think they vastly overpaid anybody. But now if you get to a situation where all 4 of these pass catchers, your best pass catcher is still Jacoby Myers. Which is a problem. That's a serious. If you bring in all 4 of these people, if you said Jacoby Myers was going to outperform 1 or 2 of these guys, all right. He's outperforming all of them, and it ain't even really that close.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, honestly, I think Kendrick Bourne needs to be more involved in the offense. Based off what we've seen last game, he looked very good.
I agree.
And he made that great play to score that touchdown. And Jacoby is the other guy who's been playing great pretty much all year long. But Aguilar, we brought in. Other than the first game, he hasn't really done much.
No, not too much.
And then, like you said, the 2 tight ends haven't really done much.
I usually forget Hunter Henry's on the team.
Yeah.
Until he makes a catch every week.
Yeah.
Which you don't want a guy to be a personality. That's not what I'm saying off the field or anything. But you don't see his impact. It's not, oh, what a great block from Henry there. Oh, what a great play to block again, I guess. But after the receiver catches it, turn upfield, make a play.
Yeah.
You don't see much of anything. These guys look like Ryan Izzo and our tight ends from a few years ago, which is very concerning with how much money you gave them.
I don't understand why we're not running double tight end sets for a run. Yeah. We got 2 big bodies to block. Yeah. If the line's not working well, put in 2 tight ends to run, and then you can run pass plays out of that too.
Exactly.
I really don't understand it, but
it is weird. The personnel is its own little issue. It's a lot to unpack, but either way, Patriots looked very unprepared this week. They got their doors blown off. Didn't get their doors blown off, but it got away from them.
I agree with that.
After the Jonnu pick 6, personally, I felt the whole momentum of the game was just gone.
Malcolm Jenkins.
It was. That? Yeah. You let a 45-year-old guy score. I mean, yeah. It just can't. It's tough. It hits him right in the hands. It's a little out in front of him, but you're an NFL tight end. You got to make the catch.
Yeah.
So either way, not the week we were looking for. The Patriots fall to the Saints.
Yeah.
28-13.
I will say though, Nick Folk has been kicking great.
Yeah,
He's
that's
had
fair.
plenty of opportunities. He's cashed in on every single field goal. He's missed one extra point, but
Yeah. Well, hey,
I'll
Nick
take
Folk's
it.
doing all right.
I'll take that.
Yeah, we got
That's
something
one
going
positive.
for us.
Yeah.
So Patriots fall 28-13, and now we are going to hop over to next week. All right, everybody. So this week we got the big one. Potentially, bar any other circumstances, maybe the biggest regular season football game of all time. The most hyped, at least.
Yeah, it is. I've been hearing. Well, Edelman came out and said the Goat Bowl, and I kind of like it. Yeah, we're in for a matchup. I don't see how the Pats are winning this.
No, so the Bucks are rolling into Gillette tomorrow for a Sunday night primetime football game against Bill Belichick and Mac Jones. I put straight up, the Patriots are just way too dysfunctional right now to compete with a team that's firing on all cylinders like Tampa. And they're going to be pissed too because Matt Stafford just showed them up.
Yep.
They're not in a good mood. I'm sure Brady's going to get them fired up. And it's going to be, I don't think it's a good day for New England. I think they're looking at 1-3 bar something pretty significant. If they do, I'll say it a few times in the next 15 minutes. If they do somehow win this football game, I'm going to be crazy next week.
Yeah,
I'm going to be losing.
it's going to be
But
crazy.
either way, go ahead. You did more of the analysis of the Bucks. I didn't watch too much on them.
Well, offensively, Brady looked great last week. He was very accurate. He had 400-plus yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and he also had 1 rushing touchdown. Biggest concern about the Bucs offense is their rushing game. And I know they played the Rams, who is, top 5 in the league against the rush. But Tom Brady was also their leading rusher last week.
I did hear that stat.
He had 14 yards. So looking at that, I think the rush isn't too concerning, which I don't think a lot of people are going to, not agree with me on that. But, the pass is obviously what we need to focus on. And I think the biggest thing, and I hate saying this because they have so many weapons, but you got to have three guys locked up. And one of them's Gronk. I hate to say it because, he left us and he's one of those guys, but
I still maintain that he's washed and a shadow of himself.
You have to. He's a red zone target. Brady loves throwing to him. He's definitely one guy you need to lock up. The other guy is Chris Godwin. Mm-hmm. I think I know they have Mike Evans. I think Godwin's Brady's favorite receiver.
Really?
I really do. I think he's the most productive in terms of consistency.
I would say, I might agree with you there, but I would think the other 2 guys might even be more liked by Brady, Evans and Gronk, respectively.
Well, I was thinking just receivers, but yeah, Gronk too.
Yeah.
And then Evans, obviously, he's a monster. But, his production this year, I mean, even every year, he's very inconsistent. He's very touchdown dependent. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, those are 3 guys you really got to key in on.
Still no AB, correct?
I think he's back. I think he's questionable. I'm not positive, though.
You know who they brought in as well, just today?
Yeah, Richard Sherman.
Yeah, the
I
doorman
just saw
himself.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, defensively for the Pats, I said you have to shut down 2 of those guys to have any chance. Mm-hmm. Because, you can let one guy have a game, but you can't let 2 or 3 or 4 of them just continually rack up the points, rack up the yards. And, I mean, that's definitely the biggest concerns for the defense. And offensively, you just need to limit the turnovers, which I think will be fine. Mm-hmm. Mac had an off game. One of the picks wasn't even his fault. And then the biggest thing for me, against this defense, they're pretty good defense.
Yep.
Get the tight ends more involved. I know we've said this every week, and they still haven't really done it. Get them involved. You got to get the ball to the tight ends.
I agree. I'm very, very scared about the pressure this week. I think they're going to be sending...
Yeah, that's true.
Usually 5 or 6 dudes at Mac Jones on any given play. I really think they've seen how weak our offensive line is, and they know. Because here's the thing, even if Mac Jones is able to put up some points and hit some open guys because you're putting so much pressure and like laying off a coverage, he's not gonna score enough points bringing all that pressure to beat you, the Bucs, in a shootout. Yeah. It's just not. So I think they're even okay playing with, hey, Mac Jones might make a few plays against us, but we're going to send the heat on him all game, and there's no way he's going to get more than 25 points.
Yeah,
and they can score that all day. So I'm concerned, but we are about to get into, I think, the most unscripted segment that our show has had yet. One that we disagree with a fair amount, I would say. You're definitely on one side and I'm on the other, so if you get... All right, I'll look at the camera for this. If you get on your feet and cheer for Tom Brady on Sunday, go to hell, dude. Straight up, like, it's not... the guy left us for $5 million, right? His wife is worth $400 million, by the way. He left us for... If we gave him $5 million more, he's here playing for us. So it is about the money. We had no money because we sold out from him for 20 years. We brought in Antonio Brown. We brought in Michael Floyd over Emmanuel Sanders. We re-signed his best receiver and tight end every year, Edelman and Gronk. First-round picks, we've had fucking Sony Michel, N'Keal Harry, Isaiah Wynn, all meant to build and sustain Brady.
We also took a chance on Josh Gordon.
Yep, Josh Gordon over and over. Demaryius Thomas we brought in for an offseason. All these things to try to help and make Tom Brady stay here and want to be here. And at the end of the day, my main argument is that his success makes us look like shit. And that should be your primary concern as a Patriots fan. And if you're fine with our image being trashed and stuff, then that's fine. You're a Tom Brady fan or you're an NFL fan. But, like, first and foremost, I'm a Patriots fan. So if something is going to make my team look like trash, I cannot actively root it on. And I said, like, all right, these three I got to ask you before you go. Did you root for Paul Pierce and KG on the Nets?
No.
Did you root for Isaiah Thomas in Cleveland?
A little bit.
A little. Did you follow the Cleveland?
No.
Did you follow Chara when he went to the Capitals?
No.
Did you follow Mookie Betts when he was shipped out of here in a way worse fashion? Everybody thought it was awful, and they shipped him to L.A. You started watching the Dodgers?
I didn't watch him, but I kept track with Mookie a little bit.
Fair enough. Okay. Now my Wes Welker story. Wes Welker was my favorite player growing up.
Okay.
Loved Wes Welker. Had 6 or 7 posters in my room. Had 2 jerseys. Had a bobblehead. Everything, right? Loved the man. And I remember I'm out canning, and I get the news that Wes Welker has been traded to the Broncos.
Yep.
I start losing it, dude. I get home. I can barely keep my stuff together, dude. I get home. I look at my posters. I look at my jerseys. I cry. I take them all down. And I never watched Wes Welker play another game of football in my life. I'm not watching the Denver Broncos, dude. Like, I don't care about... Tom Brady was never even my favorite player on the Patriots when he was here. Why would you follow a guy... Like, it used to be Tom Brady in New England versus everybody. And now he's gone. Everybody loves him and hates us. And people are actively rooting it on, saying, yeah, let's go. Keep making us look bad. But all right, enough of my rant. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't completely disagree with you. Mm-hmm. I definitely see your point. The thing about Brady, though, is he just did so much for the organization and the team. I think people just have, like, a soft spot for him. And, like, I think that's very understandable. In my case, I just, I'm not going to choose the Bucs over the Pats. You know what I mean? I like watching Brady. I like seeing how he's doing. I'm gonna root for him, not the Bucs.
So you're rooting for the opposing team's quarterback.
Now listen, against this matchup, hell no. Fuck the Bucs. Fuck Brady. In this matchup, I'm taking the Pats, obviously, but yeah. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I think people have different points of view in terms of. Brady and the Pats. And honestly, I think him leaving and winning that Super Bowl last year, he went to the Bucs where they literally just brought a shit ton of, powerhouse players
Yeah, they
together.
built a super. It's the closest thing we've ever seen to a super team
So
in the NFL.
when you look at that and you look at the Pats, how they were last year, it's not. You can't compare them.
Well, yeah, they had the ability to completely sell out. They had been trash for 15 years.
Yeah, and look at them this year. Same thing. They don't really have. I mean, they're good enough to be a playoff team, I believe, but I don't think they're winning anything.
It's the same roster. I agree. I don't think it's so hard to run it back in the NFL when you have single elimination playoff games. And like people are like, oh, they got the same roster. So yeah, people can watch the same exact film on them from a year ago and break them down. Somebody's gonna catch them slipping. I think they're a great team, and this is what I want to make very clear about my point is, it's not that I don't want Tom Brady to do well. I absolutely I know after what I just said, you guys probably think I'd want him to go down there, go 0-17 every year, and just suck.
Mm-hmm.
That's not true at all. It's not that I don't want to see him do well. But when he does so much better than us, when he far exceeds how we're doing, it makes us look really bad. I literally wish over the next 3 years that we could go to the Super Bowl 3 years and Tom could too. And we'd beat him twice and he could even win one. That's how much I like Tom.
He could win one.
He could win one. I don't want to not see him do well, but when he is blowing up the league and torching everybody with your old tight end who refused to play for you.
Gronk's a different story.
Yeah, I said I'm not even talking about Gronk because I'd start dropping profanity all over the place. So like, I'd lose it. But like, I don't even know. It makes us look bad when he does so much better than you're doing, and to then continuously as a Pats fan be like, yeah, keep running it up. We look like real trash now, and to keep rooting for us to look even worse, like. He needs to be brought down a peg so that he's not... He blew us out right now. People are questioning if Belichick even knows how to coach.
Yeah.
And, like, that's because of what these people are rooting on. I coached a few football camps over the summer. And there was a large handful of kids. After the Patriots still had a small lead, the next favorite team in this area among young people is the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
That's bad parenting. That's disgusting. Yeah. That's what you're creating. Because it might be simple for an adult to be like, oh, casually root for them. You're creating kids who are now, they have the best football team in the history of the world as their home football team. And they're rooting for a team in Tampa because 2 dudes are down there.
And they just won.
Yeah. It's like, that's what we're creating here. It's New England against everybody, and now half of New England is instead rooting for a guy that is actively making us look like dump every week.
And 44 years old.
Yes, and 44 years old. That being said, I got the Bucks winning 43-13 in Gillette.
Great transition. Yeah, I got them.
No chance.
I'm going to say 38-23. 38-23.
I like it. If we can score 20 points,
I
I'd be very happy.
I'm generously giving them 20, but I hope they can score that.
Yeah.
But all right, so going back to what we were talking about. So I saw this thing on ESPN. I think it was Max Kellerman who was saying, this is the biggest game of the season possibly in the history of the NFL. He said that whoever wins this game is considered the success of the Patriots, and I completely disagree with that.
Me too.
There's
way too much going in it because as the Patriots guy, if Bill wins, you're not even where Brady is.
I know,
not even
exactly.
Kind of close. You can't put that much weight into one game.
A lot of people are taking the Bucks, which rightfully so.
Yep.
So if the Bucks walk out of here, it's not really a surprise. Bucks walk out with a win. It's not really a surprise to really anyone. Look at the roster. Tell me who looks better on paper.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's an awesome storyline. It's great, but to make this about 2 people, one of whom isn't even on the field.
Yeah, that's another thing.
The Bucks are just far better on paper. It doesn't matter who is or isn't quarterback for either team or who's coaching either team. the Bucks have a far better roster, and
They
they
do.
should take care of you.
They definitely should.
So to say that this game has some sort of big overall implication and that the winner is going to decisively say something about how the Patriots have been the past 20 years, yeah, that's ludicrous.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I just want to throw one point out there. I know Jonnu had a horrible game last week. One thing, I already said, get the tight ends in the game. Get Jonnu the ball early.
Mm-hmm.
Make his confidence rise
Yeah.
early, and then just keep feeding him. He had a horrible game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's going to really repeat that much this season. He might have another off game, but, just get him involved. Like, the Pats have relied on the tight ends so much through the years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we had Gronk, Hernandez, and all that.
Yeah.
But, and
made plays.
so just get the tight ends involved. We need to see that. And running game, it's going to be another tough week. Harris might not get, the amount of touches or yards we want to see. So that's going to rely on Mac to throw the ball, and hopefully we get some deep balls, get some open. I mean, another thing about the Bucks, their secondary very, very injured and, short staff. So
who knows? Could be a benefit. We'll see. All right, so to touch on it again real quick, I had the Bucks 43-13. I know you said
38-23 Bucks.
All right, so those are our final takes and predictions. Thanks so much for joining us this week, guys. It's been a pleasure. Tune in next week when we cover the Patriots and the Bucks, how that game went, and look ahead to next week. Thanks so much, guys. Go Pats.
Go Pats.